Yo, what's going on, guys? So I'm here to talk about transgender females in skateboard competitions with apparently 13-year-old children. And these children are females. So is it fair? Is there a difference between men and women when it comes to skateboarding? Does physicality and testosterone have anything to do with your ability to skateboard? Well, given I've been skateboarding my entire life, I'm not able to skateboard anymore because of health problems, which you can see in other videos. But I started skateboarding when I was 8 years old and pretty much follow skateboarding every single day of my life for over 2 decades. So I'll give you my opinion on this article and how outrageous it is to claim that there is no difference between men and women when it comes to skateboarding and pretty much the vast majority of sports. The skill difference between male and female skateboarders it's probably one of the largest gaps in all of sports if you compare the skill levels. So let's examine this article. Ricky Trays, 29 years old, spoke to Daily Mail exclusively about her victory over a 13-year-old girl over the weekend. She said she doesn't think she has an advantage despite being biologically male because she is not buff. Not that buffness and size necessarily directly influences your ability to do tricks on a skateboard, but if you look at the skill difference in male and female skateboarders, there is some rare exceptions. Yes, there is a new up-and-coming young Brazilian girl who is on par with like an average level male professional, but still, if you combine 99.999% of female skateboarders under her all together, they do not even come close to how good she is. So she's an exception, a very rare anomaly. But yeah, it's an outrageous thing to claim that there is no difference between males and females when it comes to skateboarding. Anybody who claims to do so either knows nothing about skateboarding or is irrational and totally dishonest. A transgender skateboarder who sparked fury by beating a 13-year-old girl to claim first prize in a recent contest has defended competing against children, telling dailywire.com exclusively, "I wasn't going to go easy on them just because they're kids." Well, there is 13-year-old and 12-year-old boys that can actually compete on par with adult males, so the age thing doesn't bother me nearly as much as the gender thing. Apparently decided that they were going to go trans about 2 years ago after being married and in the Navy with 3 young children. This legitimately to me seems like a case where the decision to go transgender and come out as female could have been influenced by the advantages that this person could get in skateboarding competitions, because they claim that they want to compete in the female Olympics, and if that actually takes place, most of the world will not be happy about it. So part of me is like, let's just crank the volume up. Let's have more people born as biological males competing in female sports, just so you start to wake people up, because this is ridiculously unfair. It's funny. It's what I'm getting beat over the most. People saying you're beating little kids, little girls. I didn't intend to do that. This is the first one I've been to that I actually wanted to win. The age thing doesn't really count. Trey said she came to the realization that she is female 2 years ago after secretly cross-dressing for years as a child. She had watched her mother dress in cute outfits. She was always interested in skateboarding as a young boy, but that she didn't consider it professionally until it became an Olympic sport in 2020, around the same time she was starting her transition. That sounds like somebody who may have been incentivized to transition in order to compete in female skateboarding. That's just like an open admission of it. If you don't think that's the case, and that's going to become more and more likely, then you're just being dishonest with yourself. And this person can continue to skateboard and do whatever they want with their lives, but infringing upon other women's right to have a fair competition is not right. Trays believes that skateboarding is down to the individual's skill, not their gender and strength, weight, or height, and that she doesn't fit the model of a burly man in any way. Well, if gender doesn't matter in skateboarding, according to this person, why aren't they competing against men in the male division? Why don't they have aspirations of being in the male skateboarding Olympics? because this person cannot compete with Naija or Yuto. She said kids age 12 and up are just as much of a threat to her as adults, and that means it's fair for her to compete against them. Yes, in the male category, but the female category, that is not the case. There is like 1 or 2 women or girls on the entire planet that are an exception to the rule, but generally, on average, this is an outrageous claim to make. Anybody who is rational and honest with themselves can see this. And 99.999% of the skateboard community agrees with this point of view, but they're just too scared and spineless to go up against the woke mob. I guess stuff like this will just continue to happen, and girls will have their right to compete fairly within skateboarding and other sports compromised and taken away by, It's kind of like a race car driver. It doesn't matter what you look like. You can drive the car regardless of your physique, she said. Take the average 12-year-old female skateboarder and ask them to do what the average 12-year-old male skateboarder is doing, and it is 99.9999% of the time not even 1/millionth the skill level of what dudes are doing. Should other sports be categorized by gender? She doesn't believe so, and says to enforce biological gender grouping would deny who she now is. So, again, you're contradicting yourself in your reasoning. If that was the case, you wouldn't need to compete in the female division. You could just compete against males, but you wouldn't even rank or place against the average male skateboarder. Personally, I don't think segregating everything is the right way. I feel like that would be calling us different, like different human race, and we're not. Well, then again, you should just compete against the dudes and follow through with what you're saying. She says skateboarding is more rooted in skill and determination than physicality. I'm pretty sure most girls do not want to jump down a 12 stair and then sack a handrail and then break their leg. So toughness and physicality is deeply, deeply ingrained within skateboarding. It is one of the most physically demanding sports in the world. To deny that is delusional. Competing in open contests to raise her ranking and one day get a spot on Team USA. She now lives on the opposite side of the country from her 3 young kids. That's pretty tragic. I think abandoning your 3 young children is not something to be praised. So do you think that there's any incentive for some people to go transgender and then instantly become famous by pissing a lot of people off and competing in female sports and then becoming almost internationally or nationally known and have people, the anti-woke people, all talking about them? Just skyrocketed to the top of skateboarding, recognizable, all for the wrong reasons. Doing basic things that most men would do just casually at the local skate park and getting first place and winning money and having aspirations of taking the spot of deserving females in Olympic skateboarding. Is that fair? Obviously not. If you love the sport, it speaks to you and you find ways to do what you do on your board. Well, that's different than competing in a competition. You can still skateboard. No one's stopping you from skateboarding. But competitions are supposed to have rules and parameters in order to make the competition fair. There's a weight class and gender divisions for a reason in the vast majority of sports. That's not going to go away because of your aspirations of dominating female Olympics unfairly. I can't really speak for her and what she is going through, but I would say skateboarding is different. You have an external source. Your sport isn't solely based on your body like sprinting would be. That's total and absolute bullcrap. Skateboarding is entirely based on the physical fitness of your body. Certain body types have an extreme advantage. You don't see many obese people skateboarding. most skateboarders, while yes, they are thin, they're built more like Bruce Lee, like a martial artist. They're not incredibly big, but most of them are incredibly lean and fit. To deny this is lunacy, and that's why skateboarding has actually evolved in recent years to incorporate things like physical therapy and training in order to make themselves stronger for skateboarding and less prone to injury. So to say that skateboarding is not physical, try jumping down a 10 stair for an hour and see how you feel the next day, or see if you break your foot doing so.